Liz Harris is an economics teacher at Faraday High School. In class, she commends the efforts of her students for their entrepreneurship challenge. She awards Dylan and Ariella, the two students whose matchmaking website earned second place. After class, Dylan and Ariella approach Liz, sharing that they want to turn their matchmaking website into a real business, with an investor already on standby. Since Liz is single, they ask her to create a profile on the app, as they need people to use it. Liz tells Tammy about the app, and Tammy urges her to try it to meet new people in town. Liz is reluctant but agrees after Tammy's reassurance. On her way to the yearbook office, Liz gets hit by a tennis ball thrown by Coach Ted. He quickly apologizes, but Liz is frustrated about her clothes being stained before the picture. Ted offers help, and just then, Dylan asks if she's willing to try the app, which Liz finally agrees to. After she leaves, Ted learns she's the new economics teacher. At home, Liz's mom Betty helps her unpack due to Liz's busy schedule. Liz, who has taken over from the previous teacher, strives for perfection, but Betty, noticing her tendency to overdo things, reminds her that not everything has to be perfect. The next day at school, Principal Jennifer congratulates Liz on her progress with the students' entrepreneurship projects, while Ted helps himself to the maple fritter that was meant for Liz. It seems the two aren't off to a great start. At the teachers' meeting, Jennifer asks for 2 volunteers to help organize the school's carnival day. Gina, a teacher who seems to have a crush on Ted, tries to get him to volunteer with her, but he declines. Liz eventually volunteers after no one else steps up, and Ted, after a second thought, offers to join her. Later, Ted catches up with Liz, and it becomes clear neither of them has experience organizing an event like this. Liz, however, has already gathered binders of past events and tells Ted they'll create one after the carnival. It's obvious Ted wasn't prepared for this. At home, Liz receives messages from different guys on the matchmaking app, and she's especially interested in a guy named Greg. Meanwhile, Ted is working on a Mustang in the garage when he gets a call from his mom Olivia, asking him to hide the car surprise from his dad Darren, who's on his way. Darren arrives shortly after, handing Ted some pictures to scan for his and Olivia's anniversary, and urging him to keep the surprise from Olivia. What a sweet couple. The next morning, Liz's date with Greg quickly turns into a marketing pitch for his products, leaving Liz stunned. Later at school, Gina spots Liz and Tammy sitting outside and slyly mentions that Ted has her number saved, if they want to call her for help. It seems Gina is trying to eliminate competitors for Ted's attention, as she's had a crush on him since he arrived at Faraday High 2 years ago. Meanwhile, Dylan convinces Ted to sign up for the matchmaking app, and Ted finally agrees. Later, Liz updates Ted on the carnival planning and urges him to take it seriously as she's trying to prove herself. However, with prices soaring, they'll need 30% more funds to cover costs. Ted suggests getting extra people for a raffle, even referencing the opportunity cost poster on her wall, but Liz reveals it's not the meaning of opportunity cost. She then shows him a picture of a dunk tank, and Ted proposes they build one for the school, instead of renting it every year. Liz thinks it's a great idea, if he can pull it off, and he quickly clarifies that they'll be doing it together. At home, Ted starts his registration on the matchmaking app, but gets frustrated by the long list of questions. The next day, Liz goes on another date with Oren, a guy she met through the app, but it turns into another disaster because he's a mummy's boy. Over the weekend, Liz drives to Ted's house to help build the dunk tank, and Ted is surprised and impressed to see her in casual clothes. While grabbing paint from the garage, Liz notices the Mustang. Ted explains it's a surprise for his dad's anniversary, a replica of the car Darren and Olivia had on their first date. Ted admits he's struggling to find the original gear shift handle and wants everything perfect. It seems he and Liz are alike in that regard. Later, Liz asks where Ted taught before Faraday High, and he reveals he gave private lessons at a tennis club. Ted admits he left because he got bored. His students just wanted to get good at tennis, but he wanted to teach beginners. He then turns the question on Liz, who shares that she wanted to be an elementary teacher but fell in love with economics in college, which sparked her passion for teaching the subject. The next day, Jamie, a student, tells Ted he's quitting the tennis team because he feels he's not good enough. Ted advises him to stick with the practice for 3 more weeks before deciding. The following weekend, Liz and Ted try out the dunk tank they built. Liz struggles with her throws, making Ted laugh. Just then, Ted gets a call from Courtney, a former student who owns a winery. She offers to donate 3 cases of wine for the raffle, on the condition he picks them up at the winery, and Ted eagerly accepts. Liz asks if Courtney is his girlfriend, but Ted clarifies and invites her to join him on their day off to pick up the wine donations and enjoy a wine tasting. On the designated day, Courtney gives them a tour of the vineyard, and the scenery is stunning. She steps away to handle an issue. telling them to meet her at the tasting room. As they walk, Liz shares her thoughts on the vineyard, and Ted agrees, enjoying its serenity. Liz asks Ted where he sees himself in 10 years, and he admits he hopes to still be coaching tennis, traveling the world with someone who shares the same dream. Liz's vision is similar, but she'd prefer something more exotic than tennis. Ted learns she's on Dylan and Ariella's matchmaking app and admits he's given up on it. He asks if Liz has been on any dates, and she reveals 2 epic fails. Ted, surprised, says he can't imagine anyone having a bad day with Liz, sparking a hint of romantic tension between them. In the tasting room, Liz and Ted discuss the raffle prizes and have a slight disagreement. Liz thinks there should be consolation prizes for the kids who don't win, but Ted argues it could diminish their competitive spirit, saying it's okay if not everyone wins. Later, Ted drops Liz off, and she thanks him for the great day. Curious if he's still upset, he admits he's not, and even gives her the go-ahead with her idea, if she feels strongly about it. The next day, Gina offers to donate spa baskets for the raffle, but her real goal seems to be spending time with Ted because she suggests bringing them to his house instead of school. Later, Liz prepares for her 3rd date, hoping it won't be a disaster once more. Liz's dinner date with Pete starts well but takes a turn when Ted runs into them at the restaurant. After learning Ted is a tennis coach, Pete shifts his attention to him, leaving Liz feeling awkward. Guess that's epic fail number 3. The next day at school, Ted notices Liz's attitude, and she admits he hijacked her date. Ted didn't realize it was a date and thought Pete was just a friend. He also thinks Pete isn't her type and describes her type as sounds a lot like himself. Ted apologizes, and Liz eventually accepts. At home, Liz tells Tammy she's going on another date with Pete and admits Ted has been fun to work with, surprising Tammy with her praise. Later, during the movie date, Pete shares his meeting in Los Angeles went well and that he saw his uncle, who organizes outdoor car shows. Liz asks if his uncle might know where to find an original gearshift handle for a Mustang, and Pete gives her his uncle's number. Liz soon realizes she and Pete have little in common. While she loves to travel, Pete prefers staying in and watching movies. The next day at school, Ted and Liz have fun sorting the raffle prizes and role-playing with different hats. Ariella walks in, noticing their chemistry, and an idea begins to form in her mind. Later, Liz asks if Ted found the gearshift handle, but he hasn't had time to ask around or scan the pictures. Liz offers to help with the pictures, and Ted is very grateful. He invites her to dinner, but a text from Gina about bringing the baskets over interrupts them, prompting Liz to reschedule dinner, much to his dismay. At home, Liz is charmed by the pictures and leaves a voicemail for Pete's uncle about the gearshift handle. Meanwhile, Gina arrives at Ted's with the spa baskets, dressed up and hoping to go out for drinks. Ted politely declines, saying he prefers to keep his personal and professional lives separate. Looks like Gina finally gets the message that nothing's happening between them. The next day, Ariella suggests Dylan check the app's algorithms because she observes that Liz and Ted have good chemistry, but they aren't a match on the app. Later, Liz returns the pictures to Ted and surprises him with the gearshift handle. Ted is speechless by this kind gesture, thanking her and offering to reimburse her, but Liz insists it's a gift. He invites her to the anniversary party, and she happily accepts. At the party, Darren thanks Liz for the picture slideshow before greeting other guests. Liz admires the chemistry between Darren and Olivia, who are celebrating 40 years together, feeling bittersweet that her mom, Betty, never had that. She confides in Ted, sharing that her parents separated when she was 6 due to her dad's dishonesty, and reminisces about Betty raising her alone. As romantic music plays, Ted invites Liz to dance, but they're interrupted by the chef. Gina arrives at the same building with her son for his birthday dinner and heads upstairs upon realizing the anniversary party is also there. Liz runs into her and reveals Ted invited her to the party. Just then, Darren arrives and takes Liz away, making Gina head back downstairs, feeling disappointed. After the party, Ted presents the Mustang to Darren as a surprise for him and Olivia. Darren is thrilled by this and takes Olivia for a ride, feeling ecstatic about the gift. Later, Ted drops Liz off, and they nearly share a romantic moment, but Betty interrupts. It seems things are heating up between them. The next day at school, Gina tries to sabotage Ted's chances with Liz, warning her that Ted can be dishonest and suggesting she check online about his departure from the tennis club. It's clear Gina feels that if she can't have Ted, no one else should. At home, Liz and Tammy dig for information and discover that Ted didn't quit the tennis club. He was fired. Liz feels disappointed that he wasn't honest with her. The next day at school, Ted suggests they sort carnival packages together, but Liz insists on doing it separately, leaving him confused by her sudden change in attitude. Later that evening, Ted completes his matchmaking profile and is surprised to be instantly paired with Liz. The next day, Ariella and Dylan wonder what went wrong with Ted and Liz, noting their chemistry and the app's match. Later, Ted bumps into Liz and asks if he's done something wrong, but she tells him they aren't going to work out and prefers to keep things professional. At home, Betty, having noticed Liz's feelings for Ted, advises her to let him explain, reminding her that sometimes people don't open up right away. The doorbell rings, and Liz is surprised to see Pete with flowers, asking for another date. She politely declines, feeling they aren't a match. Meanwhile, Darren advises Ted on his situation with Liz, urging him to open up about his feelings and to not let pride and ego stand in the way. The next day, carnival preparations are in full swing, with Ted and Liz stealing glances at each other, but sadly not interacting. On Carnival Day, the school is lively with decorations, and the kids are having a blast. Ted encourages Jamie to try skee-ball, and although he doesn't win, Ted gives him a consolation prize, teaching him that it takes courage to try something new. Jamie keeps at it, and on his next throw, he wins, excited by his success. Ariella and Dylan manage to set Liz and Ted up in the photo booth, claiming there's an issue to fix. Inside, Liz tries to figure out what's going on, and Ted finally opens up. He apologizes for upsetting her and admits he's enjoyed their time together and has started to care about her. Liz then asks why he lied, revealing that Gina hinted he was fired from the tennis club. Ted explains to Liz that he didn't get fired, but quit the job when a new teacher with better marketing strategies caused his clients to drop off. Despite 5 years of hard work, the club backed the new teacher. The new hire even spread the rumor that Ted was fired to undermine his reputation. Ted didn't want Liz to think of him as a sub-teacher, so he kept the truth from her. Liz apologizes for misunderstanding his situation with the club, but Ted admits he was complacent and let his pride get in the way. Though he loves teaching at Faraday, he didn't fight hard enough for what he wanted. Ted apologizes for not being honest, and Liz admits she's enjoyed their time together. As the romantic tension builds, they lean in for a kiss, but the camera shutter startles them, capturing the moment and leaving them both laughing hysterically. Ariella and Dylan excitedly realize their plan worked, and Ted and Liz realize they were set up. Liz admits she couldn't stop thinking about Ted and has ended things with Pete because he's not her type. Just then, Gina arrives, apologizing for causing trouble and admitting she thought she had chemistry with Ted, but it's clear he shares that with Liz instead. Gina finds her own chemistry when she bumps into Pete, spilling her popcorn. Instantly taken with her, Pete reveals he's at the carnival with his nephew and offers to spend time with her. Meanwhile, Ted and Liz bond over more shared interests, realizing they're a great match. Ted surprises Liz with fireworks, and in the romantic moment, they share a passionate kiss beneath the colorful sky, marking a sweet new beginning for them.